Hi, I'm Butch and I'm a biologist. Reproductive behavior is any activity that causes individuals to have offspring. Every human starts out as a single egg. It's a single cell, and all the complexity in our body starts from cell division at that original stage. The first step is fertilization. So the female egg, the female gamete, is fertilized by one sperm and forms what's known as a zygote. The zygote passes down through the oviduct, repeatedly dividing as it travels, and plants into the uterus. The beginning of pregnancy really starts at that point. This is called implantation and occurs about 7 to 8 days after the initial fertilization event. In the first trimester, cells divide through mitosis to become a more complicated ball of cells that really doesn't have a recognizable structure until about 5 to 6 weeks, when we see their original neural structures, the brain, the spinal cord, the heart, and some of the other organs begin to form. At about 7 to 8 weeks, we see some of the features of the head, the ears, the eyes, the eyelids. Some of the internal organs like the liver arise, and we see recognizable appendages at the ends of arms and legs like fingers and toes. By the 8th week, all of the internal organ systems have been formed, and the embryo is now something we can recognize as a fetus. The umbilical cord connects from the fetus to the mother, and nutrients and blood flow back and forth. At about 12 weeks, that fetus is maybe 28 grams. This is when sexual differentiation occurs. This is when the difference between boys and girls is formed. Fetal development during the second trimester is mostly body growth. Fetuses grow very fast during the 4th month and then slow down a bit. During weeks 13 to 14, hair begins to grow, the roof of the mouth forms, and boys develop a prostate, girls develop ovaries. During weeks 15 and 16, the eggs that the female will have its entire life begin to develop. During weeks 19 and 20, the embryo is covered with a fine downy hair called a lanugo, and the skin is covered by a protective greasy material. The uterus develops in females. During weeks 21 and 22, bone marrow begins making blood and taste buds form. During weeks 23 and 24, eyebrows and eyelashes begin to develop. Throughout the second trimester, bones have begun to develop and skin and fingernails have grown, kidneys have started to make urine, and the sex organs have formed. The fetus begins moving during the second trimester, and by the end it weighs about 650 grams. It's about the size of 2 medium potatoes. During the third trimester, basically the fetus is growing. It almost triples in weight, begins to kick and stretch, move around a lot during this time. During weeks 33 and 34, the pupils begin to dilate and respond to changes in light. The eyes are actually open in the womb. During the last several weeks of pregnancy, the fetus rotates, so the head's pointed down, and all the body systems have developed so that that fetus can now survive independently outside of the uterus. Human babies are what's known as altricial. They require a lot of parental care, which is a process of promoting and supporting physical, emotional, social, and intellectual development of the child from infancy to adulthood.
So what have we learned? Pregnancy occurs upon implantation of a zygote in the uterus. The zygote develops into an embryo, which develops into a fetus. During the first trimester, most organs develop, the umbilical cord attaches, and sex organs appear. During the second trimester, the fetus develops hair, starts making its own blood, and begins to move. Males develop a prostate, while females develop ovaries and eggs. During the third trimester, the weight of the fetus triples, and it rotates to prepare for birth. Human babies are altricial and require care for physical, emotional, social, and intellectual development.